Hello, beautiful creatives. Sorry I missed you guys last week, but those of you that follow me on other social media know that I have been really sick and I've been going for a bunch of tests at the hospital and just been feeling unbelievably exhausted. So I haven't been able to get content out, but I am still painting. Those of you that also have followed me for a while know that I have what I call my art nest near my recliner, which is a bunch of art supplies that I keep, in my art toolkit and a sketchbook. So I actually have been, painting almost every evening in my little art nest down there. Whoops, that's not the painting, but and I've been showing these on Instagram and on Patreon, but so I have been painting. I have had 2 finished sketchbooks that I have been waiting to flip through for you. And now I have finished this one. There's only 2 blank pages. Like, I'm not sure even why they're blank. Like, there's 2 pages like this where I painted on one page and didn't paint on the other page. I may go back, but since I'm doing a sketchbook tour anyways, I might see if I can fit this one in. This is going to be a mix between process sketchbooks, exploration sketchbooks, and this Etcher one is more of an art sketchbook, like an art journal where I'm doing more considered paintings. But there's also exploration type work in here too, but it's mostly paintings. This is some more my exploration type stuff, but this is more artwork. These 2 are more process and experimental. This one, you may remember, is the one that I took out into the woods and I was drawing with like leaves and sticks and ink. That was so much fun. I enjoyed that so much. And I'm looking forward. This was just drawing with sticks and ink out in the woods. Really, really, really enjoyed that. So this sketchbook is going to be very experimental. And I know a lot of you like that. This one is a complete mix. This is a Moleskine. This one is the Moleskine Art Collection book. It is 111 pound paper. And does it say what size it is? 96 pages, 111 pound acid-free paper, 21 by, so 8.5 by 11 3/4 inches. So it's a good size. And this one is just, like I said, it's a mix of all kinds of stuff. So maybe I'll start with the smallest one when I turn the camera around. I'm going to try to get all 3 done. We'll see how long the video gets. So yeah, let me flip the camera around and start flipping through these sketchbooks. One of the problems that I'm having, and I think it's because I'm so anemic right now, is I'm having some breathing problems. I'm having some shortness of breath. So I'm going to try to narrate this. But if I keep losing my breath too much, I may at some point just start to play music over it and do it that way. But I'm going to start out with trying to narrate. Okay, let me flip the camera. Okay, so this is that Holbein sketchbook, watercolor sketchbook. They call it multi-drawing book, but it's cold-pressed watercolor paper that Matt from the Holbein North America sent me with a package of lovely things last year for my 62nd birthday. Their North American headquarters is actually in Vermont. So, yeah, Holbein, gift from Matt at Holbein North America. So I started this one on 12/9/24 and I finished it on 8/21/25. This was testing out the watercolors, swatching out the watercolors that he sent. This was the colored oil pencils that he sent. And then this was, oh, this was down by the pond. There's a video on this, just mark making. I was talking about just mark making in nature. Like some people are hesitant to go out and paint in nature because they feel too intimidated or too stressed by painting what's in front of them. This was about going out and experientially mark making. So just feeling what it feels like to be where you are and putting down those marks. And I remember there was a hawk in the video crying overhead. And I remember in the end making these red marks as sort of this hawk flying right over my head complaining. And this was drawing with a stick. This was drawing with a stick that I colored in later with, it looks like a combination of Neocolor crayons and colored pencil maybe. But these were in a video that I did. These were in a video I did. This is just like drawing with ink and leaves outside, sitting outside and just picking up whatever I could find around me and making marks with it. And I just enjoyed this so much, just experiencing being in the woods and playing with the ink. This was the same thing. This was the same thing, just drawing with sticks. Oh, this was also out in that session that I filmed. I just did a contour drawing of a plant that I saw, and I did it with graphy tint, so it was water soluble, so I filled it in. This was just sketching with a charcoal pencil when Dawn was driving me down to a doctor's appointment one day in August. This is the view on our highway. It's like, so we live in a very beautiful state here in Vermont. More mark making. This was leaves attached to a branch, and that is also in that YouTube video. More just mark making with what I could find around me. This was just taking a flower head and dipping the flower head into the ink and then turning it. And it was making all these neat splatters. This might have been down at our pond. This looks like it could have been down at our pond. Looks like drawing with ink and sticks again, too. This looks like, oh, this was the Canadian smoke. When I was outside painting, I remember there was a lot of Canadian smoke in the air from the wildfires. And this was just creative play, fooling around. There's some oil pastel, some watercolor, scratching into the watercolor. Imaginary scene. More imaginary scenes. This was using some very odd brushes. This is one of them here that I found at a tag sale years ago. Just really rough old brush that makes really neat marks. I think some of it was done with a chip brush. And then this whole drawing was drawn with a stick and ink. And then I went over it with watercolor and some gouache maybe. Oh, it looks like maybe some purple Neocolor crayon for the flowers. Stick and ink. I think this was the Connecticut River. I think we just pulled over on the side of the road one day and I did that. Oh, this was adding some gold, the black India ink and sticks and the strange brushes, the cheap brushes, and then putting some gold in. More experimental play. This, I believe, was imaginary, just all kinds of things. There's ink, watercolor gouache, Neocolor crayons. Looks like some colored pencil too. More experimenting with ink and sticks. This type of creating is so much fun. I probably was outside when I did this. I think this might have been walnut ink. Oh, this was those homemade watercolors that I made. There's a video on that. I made some homemade watercolor inks out of some old watercolor pans that I had. That was really fun. Yes, that's what that was. those homemade watercolor inks. Technically, they probably don't qualify as inks, but that's what I was calling them. Just a ink drawing, another ink drawing, mixed media. This was the Pentel art brush with black ink in it. That's a fun tool to draw with. And this, I'm not sure what I used on that. Maybe it was a very dry ink brush. That's what it looks like. This was Pentel. Yeah, so this must have been the Pentel art brush, but very dry, not squeezing much ink out of it. Pentel art brush ink and Graffy tint. Oh, so the Graffy tint was probably the writing in the background, and then the art brush. And this was the same thing, just sort of doing contour drawings of plants that I was seeing outside. And that's the same thing with a stick and ink. Yeah, ink on a stick. Both of these, just drawing plants that I was seeing outside. Did that. I think I made a reel of that when I was drawing. That was homemade walnut ink and a stick. And this was just drawing with ink and a stick and then adding a watercolor background. Same with these. This, I think I laid down the paint first and then drew in with a stick, the pear shapes. I really love this one. Just a hot mess, but fun, really fun, scratching and splashing and splattering ink. These were my homemade watercolor inks. This was filling my art toolkit pocket palette and just testing out colors. And that's how it came out. It's kind of cool looking. And then that was probably just testing out brushes and stuff. So that's the end of that book. This is a nice and fun little book to work in. Very portable to take out with me. All right. Okay, so this one was 1/1/23 to 9/8/25. I'm going to skip the first page because it has my address on it. This was 11/14/23. Oh, this was I painted abstractly over an old drawing. This was a demo that I did on either Patreon or YouTube, just expressive mixed media. Used all kinds of stuff on this. More mixed media. Some of these are quite old, so I don't remember them. This one was where I painted over something. I went back and painted over something. Intuitive prayer painting about connection to ancestors, healing ancestral wounds. I think this was what this was about. This was, looks like, might have been acrylic gouache because it's so flat. Okay, and this was just imaginary landscape with mixed media. Very quick, very expressive. Grid painting, I love exploring things with grid painting. It's such a great way to explore a bunch of different compositions. And these, you can see that I pretty much used the same color palette and just explored different shapes. You can do that where you're sort of exploring the same landscape or still life, but use different color palettes. There's so many different ways that you can play with grid painting. This one was, again, using the same color palette throughout, but just changing the composition of this little landscape. These were 10-minute studies. I can tell already because they were pigeons. This was from one of Emma Carlisle's Patreon sessions. She has the best Patreon sessions, drawing sessions. This was just exploring dandelions outside for YouTube. So this was something I filmed back in 23 for YouTube. And this was, this was Emma Carlisle. 6 minutes, 5 minutes on that. I haven't done timed drawings in a long time. That's fun. I should do that with my patrons at some point. 5 minutes. It's really amazing what you can get done in 5 minutes. That one was 15. This was a palette knife. Might have even been a demo that I did on YouTube, but just a palette knife painting with acrylics. Montana acrylic markers and Liquitex paint markers. I was comparing the two of them side by side. The Liquitex has a more shiny finish and the Montana has a flatter finish. This was a YouTube video, Frida study. The video was on artists with chronic illness. My little Nico had passed away at that point. So he's in this little gold circle going to my heart. Watercolor, playing with watercolor. That's one thing I do remember. This paper was not great for watercolor. Worked good with like acrylic wash, worked great with acrylic. This was a master study, and it looks like I didn't write down. Don't remember who this was. That's too bad. I usually write it down. This is acrylic. This is watercolor. And again, the watercolor got kind of muddy on me. It didn't blend well on this paper. This was one of my early war paintings. I don't even remember which war at this point, but I think it might have been Ukraine. I don't know. Acrylics. Acrylic still life. I don't usually paint in such bright colors, but it's very cheerful. Oh, this is such a sweet memory. This was right before my mom died. I went to visit her and we did that neurographic art. I was teaching her how to do the circles and I gave her a set of watercolor and she loved it. She absolutely loved doing it. That's a very sweet memory. That's one thing about sketchbooks is when you have a sketchbook where you paint emotional paintings, expressive paintings, instead of like this one where it's more just pretty paintings, there's some really rich memories that can come up. This was Valentine's Day, and this I made into a card for Dawn. I printed it out into a 2-sided card for Dawn. This was my mom. This must have been after she died. I did a bunch of memory paintings of her. She used to sit in our front walk. It was a slate walk, and the weeds. She would take a butter knife and weed the areas in between the slate stones. She's an avid gardener. She had lots of beautiful flowers. She had in the 60s and the 70s, she had this page boy haircut, and we all hated it. Just hated that haircut on her. And here she is in the 60s with us. That's my sister, that's me, and that's my little brother. And this was obviously Easter. We were getting ready for church, and my mother lent us her gloves. Probably, I think the memory is that my sister borrowed a pair of my mother's gloves, and my mother only had 2 pairs of Sunday gloves. And because my sister had a pair, I had to have a pair. So my mother gave me her gloves and went to church with no gloves that Sunday because I wanted the other pair of gloves. This was another memory painting. This was a quilt that my mother made. My mother was a quilter. And this was me in my bedroom. And outside of my bedroom in the back of the house, there was these beautifully fragrant lilac bushes that just every spring filled the house with perfume. Playing with like a pastel palette, pastel colors. Supposed to be like a willow tree in a swampy area. And I think this was inspired by an area, wetlands that I go to. This was a palette cleanup page that I just turned into a painting totally wonky. I mean, she's massive with her salad compared to like the fridge and the chair. All just really fun and fantastical, you know, imaginary. This was an intuitive painting. Totally intuitive. Just let it go where it went. I didn't try to edit it at all. Love that raven. This was a palette cleanup page that I took a Posca pen over and drew a still life over it. It was a very nice effect. I should do this again. I enjoyed that. I guess I did do it again. Another one where just painted, went back to a palette cleanup page. There, I remember that there had been a couple of them, was trying to decide what to do with them, and just did the Posca pen on top. It was fun. I don't even really remember this. This was part of my memory painting. Oh, this was part of the Yellow House paintings. I did a whole series after my mom died of paintings on the Yellow House that I grew up in. Christmas Eve, it says. So I wonder if this is based on that song. I saw 3 ships come sailing in, that Christmas song. It's interesting, though. Must have been a palette cleanup page that I added the boats to. This probably, yeah, I can see underneath. This was another palette cleanup page. I haven't even written on the outside of this one yet. I will have to do that, the dates. But this was from 2019 to just a couple of days ago, 10/20/25. And this is the Etcher sketchbook, 5.5 by 8, it says. This was a watercolor I did. Don't think I dated these early paintings. These were all watercolor. This was a painting of Toshi sitting in his little dog bed in the sun. Connecticut River all fogged in. This was a walk we did in the woods, and the sun was just shining on this one bush, making it so fiery red, but I don't feel like I captured it well. This was a Vermont scene in watercolor. I really like these two. I was painting in a tighter style back then. This was just a loose, expressive painting of a little view of the Connecticut River. There was a inspirational photo for this. I don't remember what it was. Playing around. I was trying to make it look like it was raining. I don't think I was that successful with that. Just doing some abstract. Just playing, splattering, watercolor, exploring, you know, just trying to practice and explore and find my way. This was plein air in the winter, not too far from my house. Dawn and I went for a ride, and I painted that outside. This was just playing with skies. This was in 2019. These are all 2019 watercolors. More exploring, mixed media. More exploring. These were also in 2019. If you're on my Patreon, Melissa just did a really gorgeous painting with these kind of colors and the dark lines. She's been posting some really beautiful paintings in the chat area of my Patreon. You should check that out if you're a member. Be sure to check out everybody's paintings in the chat section. Just a winter scene. This was in 2021. Oh, I must have gone back. I do that sometimes if I have a blank page. I go back and paint that. So this was 2019, this one. This is a building in Vermont. I like that kind of sky glow of the sunset up there. One of Don's tools. This was in 21. This was a year that I did the Strata easel 30-day challenge in September. I used to do it in September and January. Just some abstract landscapes with granulating medium. Those were fun. Fun to play with that medium. I don't know how well it shows in there, but it was that granulating medium's fun to play with. Very loose landscapes. More exploring. This is in 9/2/23. Oh, this was from Louise Fletcher's Find Your Joy course. This was in 25. Now, this sketchbook took me so long to fill because Etcher sketchbooks are expensive. They're lovely to work in, but I was getting precious with it. And if you guys probably, if you've followed me, you remember a couple of years ago, I vowed to use my precious sketchbooks, and I have been. I have been filling them like crazy, and I have been loving working in them. Really enjoying it. Oh, these were the wax crayon resists. So like, well, at least this one was. I used the wax crayon. This might have been a demo I did on YouTube or Patreon. I forget now. I feel like these were demos that I did. But this one was, all these white areas are the clear wax crayon. And then you paint the watercolor over it. And they don't show up until you paint over it. So it's kind of a surprise as to how it's going to come out. More mixed media play. Now, these are the more recent ones. So this was in August of 25. I did a bunch of these paintings in August. And then these are recent ones. This was 10/6/25. And this is my dry gouache palette. All of these were done in my art nest with my dry gouache palette. I think this one is a mixture of dry gouache and watercolor, loosely based on a painting by Benedicte Garnier Finhay. This one was a study of Maurice Prendergast, Prendergast. This was his study of Rockport, so I did a study of his study. I really like that, Rockport, Maine. And this was, there's a lot of AI photos on Pinterest now. And so I took elements out of different AI photos that I saw that I like. Like I'll take a pattern of a cloth or, a chair or a different couple of mugs. So I just took pieces and reassembled them into a painting. I think that's a really fun way to create a still life when you don't have the energy to get up and do, arrange your own still life from life. Because this is all painted in my art nest. This is a painting. I think it's actually Nova Scotia. I thought it was Maine from the reference photo, but I think it's actually Nova Scotia. It doesn't say. I'm surprised. This was another AI, inspired by an AI photo. People are hating AI so much, but there's some really good photographs, like AI photos, that they're not copyrighted yet. I looked it up and there isn't, as far as photo AI, I don't know about artwork, but as far as photos, it's not, there's copyright law doesn't apply to them yet. So that's kind of fun. And then this one is another Maurice Prendergast study that I did in my art nest with dry gouache. And this was a Gustav Rudberg study. So it's Gustav, and the last name is Rudberg. And I just loved this. I loved the really loose brush strokes. I think that was fun. And this was a Winifred Nicholson study. And that was done on 10/12. I went back. I had a couple of pages that were like this, and I meant to fill those in. I just needed to film today if I was going to get this up. But this, I think 10/13 was actually my last painting, because I went back and painted that a couple of days ago. So that is the end of the Etcher sketchbook. And that is all 3. Okay, creatives, I hope that you enjoyed seeing these sketchbooks and the wide variety of work that I have in each one of them. And I will probably see you on Patreon next week, and on YouTube the week after that. Or it's probably safer for me to say, while I'm going through this current health thing until I get things figured out and get feeling a little better, that I will see you when I see you, when I'm able to get back on here. I don't want to pressure myself and then get stressed because I'm not keeping a promise that I made. So I will see you when I see you, but I'm going to try to be back here in 2 weeks, and I'm going to try to I'm going to try to be on Patreon next week. And yeah, I hope that you're having fun creating in your own sketchbooks. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. God bless. Have a great creative week. Bye for now.